in chapter 8 of Political Treatise by Baruch Spinoza, there is something I read there I found to be interesting. Of course, I say a lot, or everything I cover is interesting, and that's why I end up creating a video for it. This was also interesting. That's why I'm having this video, I'm creating this video to cover it. And he was talking about the difference between when power changes in a monarchy and when power changes in an aristocratic form of government. And in particular, he says, when power changes in a monarchy, even if it moves from a king to another individual who is, say, a dictator, for example, is very different from when power moves from an aristocratic council to an individual. He says the difference is huge, and this is how he explains it. He says it is much easier to transfer the dominion from one man to another than from a free council to one man. Yet it does often happen that patricians are subdued by their own generals, and that to the much greater harm of the commonwealth. He continues, for when a monarch is removed, it is but a change of a tyrant, not the form of dominion. But under an aristocracy, this cannot happen without upsetting of the form of dominion and the slaughter of the greatest men, of which thing Rome has suffered the most mournful example. So he says Rome has undergone such an experience. So what is basically saying, in a monarch, when a monarch is, for example, removed from power by force, for example, the change is not much. Even if the person who comes to take his position or her position is not really a monarch, but still another individual, the change is not as much, because the system remains to be the same. It's one person at the top giving orders to everyone else under. Now, but when it comes to an aristocratic form of government, when one person takes over from the council, a lot has to change. And in fact, the form of the dominion has to change significantly. And he says, and that includes, so because the person coming in sometimes has to get rid of all these patricians who might be in thousands, going by the numbers that Baruch was giving us at the beginning of the chapter, that we might have as many as 5,000 or even more individuals being part of the council. And often these are the best brains of the dominion has. So when this one individual comes in, he has to get rid of all these people, because he doesn't want them to be around, or she doesn't want them to be around, so that they are a threat to them. And he says that happens, and he says, he gives Rome as an example where that has happened a few times. And he says, now when one person comes in to take the place of the council, the form of the dominion changes completely. And in fact, when you read further in the chapter where he an organization of an aristocratic form of government, you see how everything will change. Like, it will change in a big way.